Alright guys, what's going on? So, highly anticipated video. Had a few requests for this one, mentioned it in a video when I did the Domino overview. Said I was going to compare the ZT-801, which I actually haven't done a review on, so this is going to definitely be a review, and the Spyderco Domino. Now I put a lot of thought into this. Actually, this isn't like an impromptu thing. I actually wrote down a lot of key points that I wanted to cover, so this may be a longer video than I normally do, but I think it's important, and these are pretty much the two hottest flippers out right now. Sub $200, premium materials, premium blade steel, good company, zero tolerance, and Spyderco. Pretty much, I've had so many people on Instagram, hey, would you get the 801 or the Domino? Kind of the two knives people are looking at. So I wanted to do a video comparison of the two and just kind of cover a few different points. Now, I carried both for exactly 1 week straight, which is kind of rare for me. I don't usually carry a knife for a week straight. I usually change it up every day just because I like variety, and I have a few to choose from, so it's kind of fun to change it up every day. But I carried both for 7 days each, and just kind of give you an idea, my typical EDC is probably what the norm is. It's light use. It's going to be opening packages, boxes, cutting on boxes, cutting string, cutting strings off your shirt, simple stuff like that. Opening mail, just your typical EDC tasks. Not, I'm not a hard use guy. I'm not a firefighter, or I'm not, doing, manual labor, where I'm using a knife to cut things a lot. So most of my stuff is pretty light EDC. So take that, take that as a grain of salt when you're watching this video. That I'm not a hard use guy. Not that I wouldn't hard use these knives if I had to, but my day-to-day tasks just don't call for it. So let's go ahead and talk about this, and you'll notice the 801 here is not your standard 801. This one was customized by Alexander Dietz and myself. He did the anodizing on the blade, and not the blade, the scales, and I polished all the hardware, and actually did it all in his shop over there in Oregon. So pretty fun time. So the 801 is, man, it's probably the best knife I think that's come out this year, and that's not, we're not giving that edge right now to that knife. I just love that knife. So the Domino is one that intrigued me quite a bit. First, when it was announced, I believe it's SHOT Show. They didn't really do anything at Blade Show this year. Spyderco was kind of non-existent. So it was announced at SHOT Show. The only other flipper they had at the time was a Southern, which I've actually owned 3 Southerns. They're really good knives. Just for some reason can't seem to keep them. I always end up selling them. So we'll see how the Domino goes, but let's go ahead and kind of talk about and just do some comparison. First thing I had on my talking notes was fit and finish. So you're paying $200 for a knife. To some people that's really expensive. To others that have a lot of customs, that's nothing. Well, I kind of fall in the mid-range there. I've owned some customs. I've owned some pretty low-end knives. You've seen a lot of my budget Kershaw knives. So I'm pretty wide spectrum on knives. But fit and finish is important to me. If it's a piece of crap, I'm not going to carry it. If it doesn't feel right, if it has jagged edges, if it has, hot spots on the handles and everything like that, I'm not going to carry the knife. So fit and finish comparing the two knives, they're both titanium scales on the locking side, and actually on the liner here is titanium on the Domino. And I would say the ZT is full titanium. So One hit I will get against the Spyderco is this scale. Now I actually like the way it looks. It looks cool when the sun hits it, but they claim it's a carbon fiber. It's actually kind of a laminate carbon fiber. It's actually not true carbon fiber, and it feels nice. It doesn't feel cheap in any way, but just kind of knowing that you're paying $200 and they're not even real, and using real carbon fiber is kind of a hit against it in that opinion. So as far as fit and finish goes, they're both very well made knives. Made in the USA, made in Taichung, which does produce some pretty awesome knives. The Southern, the Gail Bradley, I believe the Sage series are all coming out of Taichung. So good knives, not a hit on the country of origin, but I would always go with a US made knife if I could. So, but as far as fit and finish between the two, I have to give the edge to the ZT, only because it's a full titanium handle knife for $200, less than $200. Actually, the 801 is cheaper than the Domino right now, which kind of blows my mind, because I think you get full titanium scales, You get the flipper, ball bearings. You know, the only slight changes I made in the knife was, you know, it came with the black hardware. I'd rather have polish. Did that myself, very easy. Thanks to Mr. Alex Dietz for showing me how to do that. You know, I polished the standoffs, and you get that open construction, easy to clean out. Same with on the Domino, but I do give the edge to the 801 as far as fit and finish is concerned. One thing that people have been noting about the Domino, and I noticed it myself, is the inside of the spidey hole is kind of sharp, so it can kind of catch your finger. Now, I use the flipper because it's a flipper. I don't really, but you know, you can use, there's the middle finger Spyderco flick, you know, you can't use the hole. It is a little sharp there. Other than that, pretty much perfect knife. I mean, that's really the only fit and finish thing I would say. That, and I do give a negative mark on the scale because it's not real carbon fiber. I feel like at the $200 price point, you should be getting real carbon fiber. That's just my opinion. So I give the edge to the ZT on that. Let's talk about blade. Let's talk about the blade and the blade shape. And you have your classic leaf blade here on the Domino. Pretty much classic Spyderco. A little bit wide. Not sure why they went with such a wide blade profile. It's a little wider than like a Sage even. So that's kind of, but I'll tell you what, it's a full flat grind. It is a slicer, as most Spydercos are. It slices very well. So you got the leaf shape, and on the ZT, you know, you have the more classic blade style there. I don't even know what to call this one actually. With the 801, you're getting the more classic drop point style blade, which, you know, is very useful for everyday tasks. One thing I will say, and this kind of goes with another topic, so we'll just kind of combine them, is your blade to handle ratio. That's kind of a big deal to me. I've never been a fan of knives that don't maximize that. With the 801, I mean, you're really not going to be fitting much more blade in there. You know, you have a 3.5-inch blade in a handle that is roughly 4.7 inches, so you have almost exactly, you know, as much blade as you're going to get. It may have kind of gone with a 3.7-inch blade, but 3.5 is a great, you know, blade shape. On the on blade size, on the Domino, that's one mark I'll give it. Is it comes up a little short as far as the blade to handle ratio is concerned, in my opinion. You have just over a 3-inch blade. You get a 4.5-inch handle. So, you know, I definitely give the ZT the nod on that. It maximizes your blade to handle ratio, which for me is a big deal. May not be for you. So I do give the edge to the blade shape and the blade to handle ratio to the ZT as well. So, as far as your size go, since we're talking about blade, actually, let's stay on the blade. So, blade steel. Now, this is going to be a controversial topic because there's been a lot of stuff going on lately about ZT's LMAX, and that's what they use here on the 801, and that it, you know, the way that heat treated it doesn't hold its edge as well as the LMAX can, and you know, it's not even as good as S30V. Whereas, you know, the Spyderco, the CTS XHP is actually a pretty well known to be a pretty awesome steel. Good balance of edge retention and easiness to sharpening. So for me, it's kind of a wash. I'm not going to go one way or another because I've never had any problems with ZT's LMAX, and I do like that it's not as difficult to sharpen as some other higher end steels. And the same goes with the steel on the Domino, the CTS XHP. Both really good blade steels. So for $200, you're getting, you know, a good premium blade steel. You're not getting, you know, a AUS-8 or something like that. So that's kind of a tie. I don't really give. Some people might like that blade steel better. Some might like my LMAX. So I'm kind of pretty much neutral on that. Materials wise, we talked about that with the titanium, and you know, I gave the nod to the ZT on that. The size of the knife. Now, I find them both to be really nice. You know, I have medium-sized hands. They both easily get a 4-finger grip on them. But I will say, the ZT is just slightly larger by 0.2 inches, and I like that. I actually prefer the size of the 801. It just feels like a little bit more knife in my hand. So I do give the size of the knife to the 801 as far as the comparison goes. Now, if you're looking for a smaller EDC, go with the Domino. It's a little bit smaller, and we'll talk about weight. It's also quite a bit lighter. It weighs, let's get out the scale. The ZT weighs about 5.8 ounces. The Domino weighs in at 4.2, so it's a significant weight savings. Most of that is due to the smaller handle and the use of this laminate carbon fiber instead of full titanium. And if you look at this, the scales on the ZT, they are quite a bit thicker than the Domino. So even though you do get titanium, you get much beefier titanium scales on the 801. Something to consider. So if you're looking for something smaller, I do recommend, and it is lighter weight. I do give the weight advantage definitely to the Domino. It is a little bit lighter to weight. 5.8 ounces isn't a big deal to me. I'll carry that all day long. I've carried heavier folders than that, so not a big deal to me, but I do like the lightweightness of the Domino, so I would give the edge to the Domino as far as weight's concerned. Feel. Now, let me explain this. Well, it doesn't really need much explanation. How does the knife feel in your hand? How does it feel when you're using it? How does it feel when you're carrying it? How does it feel, when you're flipping it? And they both feel excellent, but there's just something about a solid chunk of titanium in your hands that's just awesome. It just feels better. I get a better grip on the knife. It feels more solid in my hand. The Domino feels a little bit too thin, and I don't have huge hands or anything. So if you have big hands, it would definitely be small for you. It feels a little thin, but again, not a negative against the knife, but compared to the two, I think the ZT just feels better in hand. So they both carry really well. They both have multiple options for carry, tip up, tip down on the Spyderco left and right. The ZT, I believe, is just tip up and tip up only on both sides. Now that's not an issue. I love the tip up carry, so I do like the deep carry clip on the ZT better than the Domino. Now some people aren't a fan of deep carry clips, so you might like the Domino. I also like the clip retention better. I shouldn't say retention. I like the way how easy it is to get in and out of your pocket. 801 for sure. This is a little too, sometimes a little hard to get in. It's a little stiff. The clip on the 801 is a lot less stiff, so it's a little bit easier to get in and out of your pocket. So I do give the advantage to the 801 that. But they both carry really well. They're both great EDC blades. They're both nice. If you want something lighter weight, go with the Domino. If you want something a little heavier, feels more substantial in your hand, then go with the 801. So country of origin, again, U.S. made, up there in Tualatin, Oregon. Just got to visit the ZT Kershaw factory last week, and they're made right here in the USA. And Taiwan, some people have a problem with that. Some people want to support only U.S. companies, so you're definitely going to go on with the ZT. And if that's what you're thinking, you're probably not even, this video is not going to sway you one way or another because you already decided on the 801. Taiwan is not China, guys. Let's just keep that in mind. Taiwan has the knives that come out of Taiwan. Every company that I've seen that makes knives in Taiwan, they're always very well made knives. So keep that in mind. But I do give the edge of the ZT because it is made here in the U.S. of A. So both knives feature a bearing system. So the action is very smooth on both knives. If I had to compare the two as far as how smooth they are, let's just look. That just falls right on itself so easily. The Domino is smooth too, but it takes a little more coercing to go. ZT's using the KVT bearing system. The Domino is using a cage bearing system. I think it's probably the same one on the Southern. So both very smooth, but the ZT is a little bit smoother, and I've heard that pretty much from everyone that the ZT is, just crazy smooth. Both knives have a steel lock bar insert, so that's not going to sway one or another. They both have that insert in there. I actually do like I like the ZTs better, but only because it's removable, first of all, and it doesn't have this crazy jimping. And honestly, I like how they hit it. You don't even know it's there. You can't even tell this has a steel lock bar insert unless you looked right there and saw the screw. But if you look just straight on at the lockup, you're not going to notice there's a lock bar insert. On the Domino, you definitely notice it. It's got jimping here, which feels kind of weird on a lock bar insert. I get why they did it, in case but again, I don't, because this isn't a hard use knife. This is, an EDC knife. You're not going to really be using gloves and, having to have that extra grip that jimping gives you on the lock bar insert. So that's kind of unnecessary for me. So I like that on the 801 better. Warranty. Both companies have great warranties. I would say, Kershaw is pretty much a no questions asked warranty, where, I've heard a little bit different about Spyderco's. They won't even send you some pocket clip screws. They make you send the whole knife in. Whereas, ZT's and Kershaw's kind of famous for, if you need some screws, they'll send them right out to you, no questions asked. So I do give the slight advantage to ZT on that one. We covered ergonomics. That was the last thing I wanted to cover. Both really ergonomic knives. They both feel very comfortable in the hand. I really can't feel any hot spots on the Domino at all, and either on the ZT. Not even the clip. The clip is in a position where that could possibly be one. It's not. It's great ergonomic, just great ergos. The Domino does, like the ZT is kind of more of a straight shot. I mean, there's a slight curve here, so your finger fits real nicely up there. The Domino does have more of like your finger cutouts, so I would say it's slightly more ergonomic than the 801, but not enough for me to tell you to go out and buy the Domino over the 801. I mean, they're both very ergonomic, very comfortable knives to use, to carry. So there's really no hot spots in either knife. So definitely kind of a wash. I guess I would say the Domino is a slight bit more ergonomic. So I think that's really all the points I had that I wanted to cover today. As far as your value, what's the best value? That's one thing I get asked all the time. What's the better buy? What's the is it the 801 or is it the Domino? Hands down, guys, 801. I say that because you can pick them up for $170. I've seen them that cheap on, I can't remember the name of the site, but I think that was the Kershaw store. I had them on sale for $170. Normally, like the HQ is $190, so it's right there around the same price as the Domino, but it's normally cheaper. So I think the ZT 801 is a better value. You can find them a little cheaper. You get full titanium construction, full titanium handles. It just feels a little bit of a nicer knife. It feels a little more premium. You got really thick slabs of titanium. The flipping mechanism is awesome. It's super, super smooth. I mean, this knife's smoother than any ZT I've ever had. Honestly, this is, in my opinion, the best ZT that's been made to date. I don't have an 0600, one of the newer ones. That knife's just a little too large for my liking, so I've never wanted to pick it up. It's a beautiful knife, and it's an RJ Martin design. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a regular production piece. It's hard to beat the 801 for the money, guys. So if you're on the fence about the two knives, go with the 801. I think you'll be happier. I think it's I wouldn't necessarily say it's a better knife, but from my uses and from my comparison, it is a slightly better knife for the money, and that would be the key. If you're not worried about money, get both of them. They're both great knives. I plan on keeping both of them. If I were to sell one, it would probably be the Domino. I don't think I'll ever sell this 801, especially now that I've had it customized and done some of the work on it myself, and it's just the way I like it now with the polished hardware, and it's really easy to do these mods. I'd say get the 801, guys. That's kind of my final conclusion there. ZT 801 over the Spyderco Domino. If you're on the fence about both, go with the ZT. If you can buy both, get them both. Both great knives. Again, not knocking the Domino in any way. It's an excellent knife. I plan on using it and keeping it in my rotation for a while. But I still think the ZT 801 is a better buy. So, any questions, comments, please leave them below. And if share your opinion on what you think of the subject. I know I saw Tough Thumbs did a video just recently, I think the last couple days, on the Domino, and someone asked him in the comments, what would you recommend? He recommended the 801, and I'm going to add my recommendation to that. Definitely the ZT 801 over the Domino. So, both great knives. If you can afford both, get them both. They're both great. Both are in my EDC rotation. But if you can only get one, go with the 801. And that was not meant to rhyme, but it did. Alright, guys, take care, and we'll see you next time.